website. There are kits that are lying on the District 98 website. You can go ahead and you can download the entire contest chair kit and the chief judge kit. And both of them have all the documents that you shall need. So we've decided upon the date. So the club decides the date. The Vice President Education will appoint the contest chair. And at the same time, he will also ask for nomination form from the club members to come forward to contest. This goes for both humorous speech contest and the evaluation speech contest. That he appoints a contest chair. The contest chair then will appoint the chief judge. This person can be a member of another club, another area, but of course there are eligibility conditions which we will come to very soon. And this chief judge will also appoint his team, which includes the tally counters, the timers, and the judges. So you have two key role players, you could say. One is the contest chair and one is the chief judge. And then what do they both do? That comes into the planning portion. So the contest chair on one end will start reaching out to contestants, because the contest chair is responsible with the contestants. Check that they are paid members, check that the club is a good club, they've paid, they are in good standing. And this can be done by going on to the website. You can also ask your area director to help you know whether the member is a paid member, and every other contestant, every other role player is also a paid member. Ideally these days, because we are in a virtual bag mode, we make WhatsApp groups for easy communication. Contest chair will start briefing the contestants about what to do, what not to do. And I would suggest this very strongly. Please assign mentors to contestants. After all, just like Aditya mentioned a little while ago, a new Toastmaster wants to contest a humorous speech contest. Let's assign a mentor to him so that he's more sure of what he's getting into, so that his speech is reviewed and he learns how to deliver a speech. That is also something that I would strongly recommend from the contest chair, or the Vice President Education also can help. In case the club is planning to give any trophies, that you need to chalk out those expenses as well. While the contest chair is doing all of this, the chief judge also is working. First of all, of course, our Bible, the speech contest rule book for the year 21-22, it's lying on the Toastmasters International website. You can go and download it from there. Please go through it page by page, I would say. At the same time, the chief judge will start making his team of judges. This includes voting judges and tie-breaking judge. There is one tie-breaking judge and a team of voting judges. Again, the chief judge would also check the eligibility of the judges. They should be paid members. Their club should be in good standing. From an area level above contest, the judge also has to have a minimum eligibility criteria. So all of this needs to be verified by the chief judge. And at the club level, we recommend 5+1. 5+1 meaning 5 voting judges minimum, 1 tie-breaking. But this is ideal situation. I would say let's go with 7+1, because again, like I said, if someone faces a technical glitch, you need to have a minimum number with you. So always go with more than necessary number of judges. And then please take commitment for all of them not to back out. Eligibility of a contestant. Now, only members who joined Toastmaster prior. Now, what this means is when you give a speech and you want to take credit for delivering a speech, ensure that it falls under one of those projects from your Pathways manual, whichever path you've taken, and ensure also that there's an evaluator sitting in the room so that he can give you evaluation once the contest is over. The second criteria, any candidate who's aiming for an elected position from the term of the subsequent July is eligible. Currently, we are in the month of September, so this rule actually can be put on hold for the moment, because as of now, all of us, except the district of. Now, coming to the third one, these days, because we have members who are, Toastmasters who are members in more than one club, please know you can contest at the club level if you wish to, from both your clubs of the same type, both humorous speech contests. But once you win in both, and I wish you do, you cannot progress to both the areas. You will have to choose which area you want to represent. So till the club level, it's okay. But from area level, you'll have to choose which area you want to represent in the same type of contest. However, if you wish to contest in humorous speech and evaluation speech, and you keep winning in both, you can go on, because there are different types of contests. This holds for Toastmasters who are members in more than one club, and you'll find many. So I think the contest chair needs to verify and needs to let the contestants know of this rule. Of course, you'll find this in the speech contest rule book also. Those who are ineligible to contest, so timers, tally counters, sergeant-at-arms, or any other contest official role, will not be contesting in the same contest in which they're competing, which is quite obvious. They're contestants over there. They're competing over there. They cannot be timers, counters. The other thing that there is a new rule that has come in this year is voting judges, tie-breaking judge, or the chief judge at the same contest type in which they would be competing beyond the club level in any district. You see, because these days we can go and attend contests at any club, anywhere in the world. But of the same type, if you intend to contest further up ahead, you cannot compete any further. So remember that in case you are winning, and I would recommend that you do, please do not vote either as a voting judge or as a tie-breaking judge, or do not take up a chief judge role. Action is again bad. Also at contests, this time we, not just this time, always we have a little bit of a conference. There are keynote sessions, there are activities based, so it becomes an event, becomes a conference. Now this event is considered to be an event, and so in that event you might have 2 contests, you might have 4 contests. So you have an education session, you have a presenter. These people cannot contest. So presenter of an education session, your chairs, you might have a PR chair, a PQ chair, some other chair, they cannot contest, including at the DI division district level at all, right? These are all ineligible to contest from the contestant's perspective. And what about a judge? The judge also has to be a paid member. His club has to be in good standing, and area level and the pathways. And then also in page 6, it is mentioned that a member cannot serve as a voting judge or a tie-breaking judge beyond the club level. This I've already repeated. For a contest type in which or intends to compete, that is also important, because we know if you so you, even if you intend to compete, please voting judge. So this is all about the eligibility portion. This all is to be done much before the actual contest. Also, I mentioned about the presenter, so I'll skip this now. Please choose your tie-breaking judge very wisely. Those of you who are going to be first-time chief judges, I would strongly recommend that you keep a pool of judges very balanced. Have some judges who are DTMs, maybe well in their educational journey, but do give chance to a new young Toastmaster too. Have some who are in age as well, who are senior as well, and then have some youngsters also, because they bring in this fresh young perspective. At the same time, have a mix of men and women. So you have a nice pool of judges. But a tie-breaking judge, please choose wisely, because I'll share the screen with you. This has happened at a real contest. We had 3 contestants, we had 5 judges, and this was their scoring. We came to a tie. And at this point, the chief judge had to open the tie-breaking judges ballot, and then the order was decided. So we need to really have someone who understands judging, right? So step 3, the preparation. All of these are scripts. You will find all the scripts for the sergeant-at-arms, for the contest chair, the eligibility forms that need to be signed and filled and sent back to the contest chair. In case of evaluation, in case of test speaker, for the speech evaluation contest, you need to reach out. Every single script is lying on that kit I mentioned on the District 98 website. Please go ahead and download all these PDFs from there. At the same time, your certificates that you will be felicitating towards the end, keep those ready. So it's a kind of checklist that the contest chair will have. And I keeps checking, okay, fine, all done, right? The chief judge also has a checklist. He has to brief judges, so he should have his script ready. He's going to brief the timer. He's going to brief the tally counter. He's also going to have the judges' ballots ready, and he will tell those judges, the tie-breaking judge also has to be briefed and separately, and the ballot sheet that he will send needs to be ready. And then the timer's record sheet which he will send to the timer. All PDFs are lying on the District 90 website. The tally counter sheet. So all these are your paperwork, the PDFs. Get them in place at least, I'll say, 1 week before the contest. Even judges have to sign an eligibility form and send it back to the chief judge. Even there is a PDF which is called the result notification sheet. The chief judge needs to fill this up and send it back once the contest. All of this is the checklist. Do I have all these PDFs with me? Yes. Then I'm good to go, either as a chief judge or as a contest chair. So just before the contest, please brief the contest chair. Will be briefing the sergeant at arms, telling him what he has to do, get those signs, brief the contest. And during the contestants briefing, particularly now in the online mode, get your contestants on the virtual platform. Explain to them that they have this limited space. Try to see that the room has, airy light, etc. And then explain to them also the speech time limits. In case of humorous speech contest, 5 to 7 minutes. In case of evaluation, 2 to 3 minutes. When will we show the green, yellow, red card? Let them know. Tell them to test the technical and their Wi-Fi connection, get best bandwidth. Also, during the contestants briefing, we do a draw floor, because that's how you will announce the contestant. Contestant number 1, speech title, contestant number 1, and so on. So you need to do all of this as a contest chair before. Let the contestants also know that, this is limited area. If you're standing, then you can move 1 feet to the left, to the right, forward and backward. Test the microphone, test the lighting. I would say encourage the contestants, because everybody's in these online modes. We really can't help it. So let them know that this is the best that you can offer. And then, of course, the audio video check. The chief judge also will be briefing all the judges, voting judges together, except the tie-breaking judge, whom he will brief separately. Send the sheets to the judges, get them signed, get them back, brief the tally counters, the timers, and you are done. And that's the day of the contest. The day of the contest, all role players are very much in place. All teams are in place. WhatsApp is going to be super active. So the sergeant at arms will open the contest, set the ground rules, and then hand it over to the contest chair. The contest chair will conduct the contest. The chief judge will enjoy the contest, but be very vigilant. In case something goes wrong, it's the chief judge's protocol, what to do next. The timers, unfortunately, cannot really enjoy the contest because they'll be so busy timing with their devices, noting down the time. The tally counters can enjoy the contest till the end because their work actually begins to. So this is what each one of us will be doing while the contestants are up there delivering. So the evaluation speech contest, the sergeant at arms will be with the contestants inside a breakout room, where these contestants will be busy noting down in 5 minutes time their notes. And then once 5 minutes are up, you fold the sheet and place your hands in front of the camera, which means you're not on. And as your turn comes by, the sergeant of arms has more in an online setup. And once the contest ends, the contest will conclude, say thank you, well done, to tabulate the results with the timer's record sheet and with the tie-breaking judge's ballot that he will collect privately alone. And the tally counters will also collect the ballots from the other voting judges, and all of them will go to the breakout room. And we as in the audience, wait for the result. And then what happens? There can be 4 kinds of, let's say, consequences. Protests, disqualifications, announcement of the result, correct announcement, incorrect announcement. So let's go by the first protest. A protest can be lodged on the basis of originality. What this means is that the speech should be original, should not be plagiarized. And if at all some reference has been made to some famous proverb or citation or somewhere something somebody has seen, please give reference and due credit to it. And this should be only up to 25%. More than 25% is a ground for protest. And the voting judges or the contestants alone can lodge a protest by letting the contest chair or the chief judge know, ideally by phone or by a WhatsApp message. The second criteria for disqualification is also, and for it's actually disqualification, is eligibility. But this we've already ruled out earlier while we were taking their details. Referencing came into as a ground for protest last year. By referencing, we mean there's contestant number 2, for example, who's come and who's delivered a speech, and then someone else comes forward and he refers to something that contestant 2 had referred to in his speech. That is grounds for protest. It is not allowed. And if found, let's say, guilty, this contestant will be disqualified from the contest. So that's referencing. But you might ask me, what if the subject is of common knowledge? For example, there are 2 contestants who want to talk about, I don't know, Sushant Singh Rajput's death. Well, that's common. That's not referencing. That's just common knowledge. But there's a very fine line. So ideally, do not refer to anybody else's speech. And there is another slight change that has occurred in this year's speech rule book, which is why, if you notice where my cursor is right now, all of this protest can be lodged before the result is announced, but that has changed. It's before the contest is adjourned. So let me explain you how. I said in an event or in a conference, you might have, let's say, 2 or let's say 3 contests. Each contest is started by a Sadat terms, ends or is adjourned. Maybe we do not announce the results because we wait for the end of the day with all 3 contests. So we do not announce the results, but the contest is adjourned by the Sadat terms. Before that, lodge your protest if you have to. After that, it will not be entertained. So please do remember this. It's not before the results. It's before the contest ends in that particular segment. Then we go to the next contest, then the next contest, and finally the results before we actually close the conference completely. So these are your protest grounds. And then comes the disqualification on the basis of originality, timing. If the contestant exceeds his timing limits, yes, he is disqualified. Eligibility, we've already discussed. Referencing another speech, another contestant speech, we've discussed. Supposing the announcement of the result is incorrect, this is my third column. Who can interrupt and who should interrupt? The timer, because the timers know which contestant had exceeded the time lines. And is his name in the winners list, then he can interrupt. The ballot counter can interrupt because, of course, he was there tallying and finding out who the winners are. And the chief judge himself can also interrupt. And if the correct announcement is made, well, then all good. So this is all about the protests. For protests, also the chief judge will call all the judges inside a breakout room, and they will give the chief judge will call the concerned contestant and give him an opportunity to explain the position. But remember, a majority of voting judges will decide. A tie cannot be entertained, which means have an odd number of judges in your voting judges pool. Tie-breaking judges are not a part of the protest hearing at all. So if you have, let's say, 6 judges and 3 say they find it guilty, the protest is valid, and 3 say no, you're going to be in a fix. So ideally, as a chief judge, please go for odd number of voting judges. So this was your contest. This is a report which every chief judge will need to fill up and send to the PQD office and to the next officer in hierarchy, which means at a club level, please send it to the area director. At an area contest, send it to the division and so on, to the division director and so on. And this, I think you'll have to confirm with your area director if he's still accepting forms at this link. And that is it, with a number of questions which ask, what if? Here, I think, Sunish, if you want, you can I mean, you can always, I'll take the questions. I can probably stop full screen probably. I'll share my screen nonetheless, so that it is at least visible with the what ifs. If there are questions related to the contest portion, tell me. Any other questions with contest organization?
So any questions, anybody, you can raise your hand or unmute and ask.
Yes, please.
Yes, Aditya.
Yes, Ms. Mayuri, again, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
There is one thought that just came across my mind. I mean, you had mentioned about the number of judges in the voting pool to be an odd number. That makes perfect sense. But when we are looking at the eligibility of the judges, and if, say, for instance, based on that evaluation eligibility criteria, if the number that we have come up with is an even number, in such a situation, how do we progress? Because we cannot arbitrarily choose another judge just to make it an odd number at the expense of eligibility.
So once
I hope my question makes sense.
Yeah, so I'll just quickly summarize it. So once you're making your pool of voting judges, try to get odd number of judges and hope that nobody faces a technical problem the day of the contest, because even that can happen. The only rule that you'll have to respect is you cannot leave the breakout room in case of a protest without a majority. So the judges will have to decide amongst themselves. The chief judge cannot be a part. The tie-breaking judge cannot be a part. The judges will themselves, even if they are 6, they'll have to come to a majority decision. And how they come to it is the 6 of them, it's their prerogative, how they come to it. Okay?
Nishant.
Yes, Nishant.
Yes, actually, I have a query regarding eligibility criteria. As someone is eligible if he is a paid member, and if the paid membership ends in September, and
Yes.
he didn't renew his membership
Yes.
in after September, so he will be
He did not
eligible
renew.
or not?
No. And in fact, at times it has happened, which is very unfortunate, that the member has transferred the payment to the club treasurer.
Your voice is breaking.
The treasurer did not submit. I will repeat again. If I'm audible, I'll repeat again.
Yes, now you're audible.
If the member is not paid, if the member is not reflected as a paid member, no matter, I mean, you could say 1st of October, cannot contest. He cannot contest. At times it has happened that he's transferred the membership to the treasurer, but the treasurer has not uploaded or submitted the payment. Even in such a case, unfortunately, the contestant cannot contest, cannot compete. So you need to be a paid member, and your club also. Nishant, it's not just you, it's also the club that needs to be in good standing. And by that, I think I will, your club president or your area directors will help you understand what is good standing. So the club needs to have a minimum of 12 members, 8 members, they'll let you know. So that a club has to be not just the member, but the club also has to be in good standing. Only then can we conduct contests. Okay. Right. Anybody else?
Mayuri,
Okay.
good evening.
Yes, yes.
Yes, good evening.
Mayuri, Lancy here.
Please
Evening.
go
How
ahead.
are you? Mayuri, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi, Nancy.
Hi.
Good, all good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Yes, I
Mayuri,
can. I know I am the one who has a bad connection.
Yeah. Mayuri, it's interesting, but this time with the amendment, there is also the word campaigning, correct?
Yes.
That also, you're
The district
ineligible.
level.
Yeah, no, ineligible if you're campaigning right at the start. They've changed the word from campaigning now. There's an amendment to that in the latest.
Speech in this latest speech contest rule book.
Yeah, it's with the amendment out here. This is pretty interesting. I'll just read it out. Items in this section were renumbered to align with changes introduced in previous sectors. The word campaigning was removed from the rule regarding district leaders and candidates' ineligibility to compete in speech contests. The intention of this rule was always that anyone who will be seeking an elected position is not eligible to compete. However, the word campaigning caused some confusion with candidates often asking if they were able to compete as long as their campaigning had not begun. I have this 11 pages one, which was shared by me by district, Saudi Arabia.
Okay. But Lancy, actually, in our district, we don't really begin our campaigning right away, right? I mean, the September, October, November is pretty smooth. So I think we can safely say that we can contest. It's only after December that we actually gear up with the. So next cycle is going to be super crucial, but I think this time we can actually go ahead.
Yeah, so I think the major one, the major upset is that as the chief judge, right, it starts right from the club level.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You just can't figure out the minute you're a voting judge, you cannot compete.
You cannot, at any level.
Any level, that's it. That's the latest one.
Okay, I think if there are no other questions, I don't see anything in the chat. All right, we can probably go with the judging criteria so that we can quickly see. I know we are running short on time. I will quickly share this. And I think you might have already perhaps gone through this previously. It's very, very common. So as a judge, what should your role be? How should you be judging? So judging is definitely judging. In this session, of course, we'll try to understand what is your job as a voting judge or as a tie-breaking judge. It's definitely not the same as evaluating. You are not going to be giving evaluations, recommendations. And how can you be a good judge? And so also what can come in the way of judging well during a contest. So when you are the judge, you pick a winner. That's your job. And you will pick your winner out of your entire list of 6, 7, 8 contestants. And you will do that before you send the ballot count sheet to the ballot counter. So when you are the judge, you are not evaluating, you're not going to appraise a speech, you're not going to give recommendations, you're not going to measure presentation against purpose, you're not going to do any of that. You're just going to be very, very fair, very impartial. You will listen to every speech as though you're speaker, as though you're seeing him or her for the first time, and this is the first time you're listening to that speech. You might end up being a judge at the club level, again at the area level, and the same contestant, and so you might have to listen again. Please remember that you've not heard the speech earlier. Just keep that in mind. Set aside any differences of religion, profession, gender, caste, race that you might come across. Timing is not your responsibility at all. The timers are taking care of it, so kindly do not let that hamper your judging. Know what are the criteria. So there is a judging ballot. Know what is the criteria for judging at all these contests, whether it's humorous or evaluation, and very soon next cycle, ISC and table topics. Know the rules of the contest in case you need to protest, know how to protest and when to protest. And of course, our Bible, the rule book. Please make no exceptions while judging, and do listen with 100% attention. In spite of the fact that we're all online and there's something going on at home, and there's always a WhatsApp message notification coming in, but please be a good listener and do not multitask for that small period of time when you are being a judge, voting judge or tie-breaking judge. We owe it to our contestants. All right. And of course, you're supposed to fill up the ballots, which means sign them too and send them. Please do not talk about the contest real scores at all. No ranking, nothing at all. Sometimes when we are judges, we do have certain obstacles to our objectivity and we become a little subjective. So for example, we have the first one, the position, the ranking. You look at it and you say, no, I think I should be. There are criteria, there is a ballot, you go criteria by criteria, and then you end up at the total. And then the champion of the underdog, you look at someone and say, oh dear, poor thing, he's been really trying. This is the second time, the third time. Let me give him a chance. No, you are not going to give him a chance. You're going to judge his speech. You're going to judge the way he delivers, the content, the structure, all of that. as if it's the first time and forget the previous instances. The halo effect is typically when someone has already won once and you say, oh, he's a very good speaker, you know, so he is already doing pretty well. No, every speech is going to be treated as if for the first time. No second time round. Do not think of giving chance to anybody. And then, you know, in our own clubs, we have certain norms. We say, this is not how we deliver speeches. This is not the way that we give structures. Whenever you are looking at hearing a speech, remember as a judge, you're hearing it for the first time with no bias at all whatsoever. Nothing that you have had earlier, except for the ballot. So we come to the ballot actually now. So as a judge, you have certain responsibilities before, during, and after the contest. So before the contest, please do attend the briefing so that the chief judge can tell you what is supposed to do. And who your tally counter is going to be, because you're going to see the tally sheet, that lower half of the ballot sheet. You're going to see your names will be asked to be changed, but in case there is a renaming convention, please follow that. Keep yourself on mute and also video mute, I would suggest, at all times. During the contest, give your utmost attention, mark the ballots accordingly, as mentioned in the criteria. We'll come to that. Please pay attention to the originality of the speech. In case, and this happens pretty often in humorous speech as well as international speech contest. If you find this is not original and you do protest, remember, in the protest room, you will also have to show proof. You'll have to show that video clip or the text which you think is not original. So you need to be super vigilant and find out which portion of the speech was not original. And do not consider time during the contest. After the contest, you make your own tally or own scores, not tally, I should say, total the scores, place your contestants 1, 2, 3 in case you're a voting judge, all the contestants 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in case you're a tie-breaking judge, sign the ballots on both sides, the left and the right, send it to your assigned ballot counter, either through WhatsApp or through private message, whatever your chief judge has instructed you with. And all of this is what you are going to do as a judge. So let's quickly see our ballot, the ballot sheet, the judge's ballot sheet for humorous speech. Notice content has 55 marks, delivery has 30, language has 15. That adds up to your 100. When we talk of content 55, we have 15 marks for speech development, 10 marks for effectiveness, 15 for value, speech value, and then audience reaction as well. By speech development, like we all have been giving speeches in our club as well, we always recommend, we always advise, we always ask to have a structure. There's a good opening, there's a body, there's a conclusion, there is transition, there are examples that support the speaker's point of view, there are sometimes facts and figures. That's all your development, okay? Effectiveness is when you will ask yourself, oh yeah, I really related to the speaker. Then you'll say, yes, the interest was, the speaker made good contact and captivated the interest of the audience. And is the subject appropriate? Because at times, if it's a humor speech contest, then what is it that he's trying to incite humor with? Is it appropriate to this kind of audience as well? All of this will come under your effectiveness. In the speech value, we do recommend, of course, it's a humorous speech contest. So ideally, he should be making us laugh. But the speaker, it's not a comedy, stand-up comedy. It's a speech. And like every good speech, there is a beginning, there is a body, there's a conclusion. There should be at least something that I take away as a little bit of meaning. I'm not saying an entire speech like the ISC, the International Speech Contest, but something original, something meaningful. And I would feel at the end of the speech, that was a good speech that made me laugh, but also left me with some thoughts, right? And then the audience reaction, of course. Now here in an online platform, as a judge, you are the audience. If it makes you laugh, it will make the others laugh too, because you will not be listening to applause or you will not be listening to any laughter. So yes, you are the audience as well, apart from being the judge. So that's the audience response. When we come to delivery, which is again the physical presentation of the speech, we are very restricted in this online time. Nonetheless, speakers do make an effort to use a given speaking area, whatever they have at their disposal. Voice, definitely, there's a lot of innovation in voice modulations, etc., when they deliver speeches in an online platform. And then, of course, the manner, how confident, how enthusiastic, how assured he is of his speech. And language, we do accord 15%, which is for appropriateness, in the sense the choice of words that we use in accordance with the content of the speech, and also in accordance with the audience that we have, and also the correctness in terms of tenses, etc. In all of this adds up to your 100. So there is a speech now. Sanish, I don't know how much time we have. Can we quickly go ahead with the speech view?
Yes.
All right, I'll share the link with you. And my connection is terrible. You've all noticed that.
Yes, I will. You can share it with me. I'll share.
Yes. Nishant Kumar. I found this very, very interesting. So I am sharing it with you. And you can probably play it so that we can all see. And I'll go on mute.
So I'm sharing the ballot with everyone. So you can refer the humorous speech ballot.
Yes. Thank you. So what we'll all do is we'll try to give marks based on what we've just discussed, the criteria, and we'll watch this speech. And we'll come back to a discussion after. It's a 5 minutes, 6 minute speech.
Can you send me on WhatsApp, Mayuri, if it's possible?
Sending you.
Yes. Thank you.
Sanish, we are not able to see the video. Maybe if we can share the link in for everybody to, yeah, there it is.
Still not able to see the video.
Now yes, I can. The audio is missing, huh? Or maybe if we let everybody else also go and see.
Right. Mistakes of my life.
Is it audible and visible now?
Audible, yes. Visible, no.
Mistakes of my life. Nishant Kumar Singhal.
How many of you have read this book by Chetan Bhagat, titled The Three Mistakes of My Life. Wow, thank you. Contest Chair, Honorable Panel of Judges, Chief Judge, Toastmasters, Cavaliers and guests. Good evening.
Good evening.
Don't worry, I'm not going to talk about that book. Instead, I'm going to talk about the three mistakes of my life. Three mistakes that changed my life completely. Let's get started. The first mistake of my life was going to school. You know, when I was 3 months old, I had this talk with a cat outside my house, and it told me, don't start walking on 2 legs, because if you do, these people will send you to school. I didn't think very much of it at that time. But you know, when I started walking on 2 legs, I found out my cat was right. You know, I don't hate school. Please don't get me wrong. I don't hate school. But you know, the problem is, the people at school, they have various torture methods to inflict on me. The first degree torture is the morning assembly. Please tell me what good can come of making students stand in the sun and roasting them until they turn dark brown. This is the worst way to end racism in the world. No, that's not all. The second degree torture, teachers. Do you know that there are more than 3.5 billion unpunished murders in our school? Every single day. Our teachers murdering the English language and grammar. One certain sir, he comes to our class, he says, students, the aim of my life is to study my son and marry my daughter. Our physical education sir, he wants to know why there is no wind in the football. And he wants us to stand in a straight circle. No, even that's not all. This third degree torture, exams. You know, I have no idea why we do exams, but exams are important, okay? All the kids, exams are important. If you don't do good in exams, you'll end up like me, happy. You know, I'll give you one simple tip to help find out whether you're going right in exams or not. Once you write the answers, read it one more time. If it makes sense, you're doing it wrong. Especially in maths, if it makes sense, you're doing it wrong. Please. Moving on, let's go to the second mistake of my life. Becoming a teenager. Yes. You know, teenage is a great time. But with my parents, it's not very easy. My parents have a simple logic. Anything wrong with me, blame the phone. Anything wrong with the phone, blame me. Plus, you know, teenage is also the time where you actually start caring about how you look, how you dress and all that.
Yes.
Because when I was a kid, I never used to care about how I look. Okay, my parents used to dress me up. I never used to care about how I dressed. When I look back, my childhood pics, it's quite obvious. Even my parents didn't care about how I dressed. Plus, there's always comparisons. Yeah. The other day, my dad tells me, you know, Sharma ji's daughter has 2 boyfriends. You are still single. I told my dad, for the last time, R.D. Sharma and R.S. Agarwal are not her boyfriends. And then the other day I told my dad, I don't want to go to school. He's like, why? I said, because it's a very long way from my class to my second language class. He says, do you know that at your age, Abraham Lincoln walked 2.5 kilometers to school every day? I said, Dad, do you know at your age, Abraham Lincoln was the President of the United States? It was not funny. I slept without my dinner, you know. And raise your hands if you agree with me. Every parent has this habit of comparing our marks with the neighbors. Yeah? Only marks, nothing else. The other day, my dad told me, Sharma ji's son got 99 in maths. I asked him, where's the remaining 1 mark? He says, you got that 1 mark. I told him, Dad, you know, Sharma ji's son has iPhone 7 plus 256 GB. I have Nokia 3310. 3 keys missing. I received a shoe on my face at 15 times the speed of light. Moving on, for my third mistake. My third mistake was to speak all of this where my parents and some of my teachers are also present. Just telling you, my family might be one member short by tonight. Let me just tell you one thing. In conclusion, people learn from their mistakes. So make as many of them as possible. And yeah, one final word of advice before I go. Never start walking on 2 legs.
So ideally, as a judge, you have 2 minutes to give marks on the ballot. If you want, I can quickly show on what criteria you are going to be giving marks. So on speech development, effectiveness, just quickly on a piece of paper somewhere close by, give marks. Sanish, we are also at 10 p.m. Do we have the permission to carry on beyond?
Yes, we can take a couple of minutes. I think people are interested, so they will be there.
Okay. All right. Perhaps we could have a very quick catch-up discussion with the kind of marks that you would give on speech development factors. Let's say content, delivery, and language. Under content, for speech development, structure, a good opening, body, conclusion. So we have, I should go up a little bit. Yeah. You have excellent, very good, good, and fair. And then you have these ranges. So from what range to what range, and accordingly you can give marks for the first contestant. This is only one contestant over here, of course. So for speech development, how much on would you give out of a maximum of 15? How much would you give? Was it fair? Was it good? Was it very good? Was it excellent? You can just unmute and please share.
Yes, Aditya.
Yeah, with respect to speech development, I felt that this contestant had an extremely well-structured speech, and I would give it a good solid maybe 13.5 out of 15.
All right, we've heard Aditya. Somebody else also? Should I stop sharing you if you noted down the different criteria, or you need me to share the ballot with you?
I also would give very good 14 out of 15.
All right. Lancy, Arvind, the ones who've been judges more experienced.
I would give 13 out of 15.
Okay. So we are under the excellent category, you mean to say? All right. Okay. I'll stop sharing for a little bit. He began with a conversation that he'd had with a cat when he was 3 months old. The cat said, "Don't start walking on 2 legs, they'll put you into school." He ended again with that. Personally, I felt the end was very abrupt. It was the 3 mistakes of my life, the third mistake, and after that, the conclusion felt a little too hurried. I don't know whether it was time or whether he had run out of his punchlines. The punches were excellent. They were very original, all of them, no doubt about that. So there I will say definitely it made me also laugh and crack up. But when it comes to structure, opening, there was a transition, the 3 mistakes of my life. So first, second, third, I felt that towards the end, he had not really concluded that well. So I would probably, take away a few marks there. So mine would be probably a little less, but if the maximum is 15, I would probably, where's my ballot gone? I'd give him somewhere around maybe 12, 11 actually on the speech development. I would probably be a little more severe than most of you. Anybody else with any other?
Mayuri, can I add?
Yes,
Mayuri, can I add in
yes,
Q
yes,
to
of
that?
course. Yes.
No, yeah, on cue to what you said out there, because of the observational humor, the thing is that he built it up beautifully well, right? And everything was original because it's his common experiences, right? But then again, humorists traditionally should have a message, take away a message. I think that's where he faltered. And so it was a slight diluted his performance. And maybe that's the reason why you categorized it within 12 and 13.
And also then if we come to the ballot, there is this one section where which says achievement of purpose, interest, reception, effectiveness. So there are in speech value. In speech value, original thought, I'd say yes, definitely it was original thought. Ideas, logic were all his original stuff. So that was good. But in effectiveness, like we mentioned when I was sharing the ballot, did it leave me with some sense of meaning or thought at the end? It was definitely a humorous speech. But at the end of it, what do I really remember? I'll remember those small punches and those anecdotes that he shared. So I agree that it is essentially a humorous speech contest, but nonetheless, it's a speech. It ought to be meeting the criteria of a typical speech. There I felt he had a little less preparation towards the end, I would say. So that was on the content. Delivery, I think if I look at delivery, the physical attributes, the voice, the appearance was good, body language, he did move. He used the speaking area. I believe it was a corporate setup somewhere, or maybe the voice. Yes, it was loud and clear right to the last person. Enthusiastic, definitely. And manner, yes, good. So there, I think we can definitely give him good marks. Language also, all good. I would suggest I wouldn't really deduct too much marks over there. Overall, definitely a winning speech. I'm not denying that, except that so the point why we discuss this is, go criteria by criteria. Keep this judging ballot and the reverse side of the judging ballot with you, open at all times while you are judging, so that you can refer to it when you are giving those marks. I know we give 2 minutes of silence or 3 minutes of silence. It's all right. If you take more time than your 2 minutes, ideally you will take within 2 minutes, you'll be able to give marks, but that's fine, because at the end of the day, how you judge will determine a contestant's result, whether he wins or loses by a whisker, and it happens. So be very, very, very clear when you're giving marks, and do not just give them randomly. So this was for the humorous speech contest, and I will not share the video perhaps for the other one, for the evaluation speech contest, but we can quickly go through the ballot. So this is the evaluation judging ballot. We have 4 criteria here. The analytical quality, how clearly the evaluators are evaluating the speech, how clearly they are going to analyze it, what recommendations they give, and what is their technique. Is it motivational, sympathetic, is it sensitive, or is it encouraging them, is it pushing them further to do better next time? Even the way these recommendations are given holds great importance. Not just what the recommendations are, but how these recommendations are given to our speaker, to the target speaker. So both of them have 30 marks for the recommendation and 30 marks for the technique. But for summarization, again, you have 15 marks, because it is very important. Ultimately, even an evaluation speech contest, even an evaluation speech is a speech. So you begin, you make transitions, go to the body, again make a transition, come to the summary, close it, and all within your maximum 3 minutes 30 seconds. So you to really develop the technique to do it. So how well do you deliver it? Do you analyze all aspects of the speech well? Do you give recommendations? How encouraging and positive you are in those recommendations? And just when the red card flashes red, that's at 3 minutes, do you actually summarize it well? And then how do you end it in time, of course? So that is how we as judges are going to be evaluating these evaluation speech contestants, who will come one after the other. So it's really tough as a judge. You've heard the target speaker once, then you're going to listen. There's a break for 5 minutes, not break actually, a pause for 5 minutes. And then one by one, these contestants will come in and give their evaluations. So as a judge, keep this ballot open with you every time and mark them only based on this. So we do have detailed explanation, which you will also find in your judging ballot if you take it. So analytical quality, recommendations, the technique used, and then summarizing, how well one summarizes and concludes the evaluation speech. So this was for this. I have a very nice, again, a video for the evaluation speech contest, but perhaps I'll just share the link directly in the chat box with you all so that you can go ahead and look it up. And there are scores of others as well. This was for the humorous speech. And this is for the evaluation speech. I've shared both the links that we had. You could always go back and listen to them again in the evaluation speech contest as well. I know I've been super rushed, but if there are any questions, we can take a few. Sunish, right?
Yes. The whole reason for having the session is so that members have that clarity for taking up the role of voting judge or chief judge.
Yes.
And the very reason we are having this session within a fortnight of you conducting for district was because we had received feedback like many new members want to take up the roles. And so yes, so I would request like anybody have the do ask the questions.
Whether it's with organizing or with contesting or stuff, please do not hesitate. It's when you will take up the role for the very first time. Everybody needs a first time. Then you'll gradually take a second and a third, and you'll understand what contests are all about at Toastmasters. So do ask. Every question is a good question.
So guys, do ask. So one of the things I would urge everybody. So we had around 40-45 members, and I am seeing many of the new names also. So I would like everybody to take up voting judge role. If not chief judge role, I would personally suggest like having taken some of the contest role, then probably go on for the chief judge role. So reach out to the ExCom or district officers and say that you want to take up the voting judge role. We are always on the lookout for new people taking up the roles. So don't shy. Any questions, right now is the best platform. Ask it. For me also, having taken multiple roles, then I got the somewhat confidence and faith, okay, I'm getting better. So even now I have to go back and check the rule book every time before participating any of the contests. So rule book is the best place. I know we had hurried, and thanks Mayuri for including both voting judge and chief judge. I know it was a very difficult ask from my side, and I might say you have delivered. So I would ask like anybody, any queries, do raise their hands.
Mayuri, that's a wonderful job. It's really good because you empower a lot of people with these workshops, right? It's like a refresher course. But interestingly, before I leave, it's interesting. One of the changes that has been done is that he and she and his and hers have been replaced by they and their.
Yes.
Correct? Inclusiveness this year.
Yes. I wanted to give a disclaimer at the beginning. I'm going to use the pronoun he just for the sake of ease. But then I think I should be putting that as my disclaimer. It's easy to go, and I know I speak very fast and I go very fast. So then I think even I need to just start, using they and them and their for inclusion in the society as well. So that's a good step.
So I think everybody is clear. People will go back and check the contest rule book. So
Sunish, I'll also share this PPT with you once our call is over, so that in case somebody reaches out to you, please do share it with them as well.
Definitely. I have the email ID of the people who have registered, so I'll send across the mail with all the details.
Absolutely. Anytime.
So thank you again, Mayuri. I would ask everybody to switch on the videos so that we can take quick snaps. Yes, now I see the videos going on. All right, couple of more seconds. We have around 30 people in the session. So once the videos are on in another maybe 10 seconds, I will take the snaps. So smile, guys. One more screen. All right, everyone. Thank you, Mayuri. On behalf of all the division directors, we also have Division B director Monish in the house. So on behalf of all the division directors, thank you for conducting and kicking off the Wednesday Wisdom for the Mumbai cluster.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to come and meet as many new faces, old faces. It's always friends that I meet across. So thank you so much for having invited me.
Thank you very much. And thank you to all the attendees for taking out the time, being part of the session and ensuring that you are properly trained before taking up all the contest roles, because the contestants are putting a lot of time and effort for that particular speech, maybe weeks or months. So we, as possibly the contest officials, we have to ensure that we are also trained and give that fair assessment to all the contestants. So once again, thank you to all the attendees. And please reach out to your ExCom or the district officers and give us feedback, like what further sessions you would like. And based on the feedback, we will be arranging sessions in future. So thank you, everyone, and good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.